Alright, hi everybody. This is a video I promised you on discussions. What I'm going to do is just point to a few things we can talk about tomorrow since I've got to this too late. The major part of this, I think it's a 15-minute interview with Larissa, one of the instructional designers in our team, who has a specialty in discussions, has done research on that. So I'll provide that and then just point to some things that we can talk about. I basically have like 5 steps, well, five to 7 steps in discussions. One, you got to decide on your group size, how you're going to select them. Will they self-select? Are you going to put them in groups, and then are you going to rotate those groups or keep them the same throughout each and every discussion? There is a group tool in Blackboard we can look at that will help you do that, just to create groups, help to manage groups, so students can self-select in as a tool that will work with that. Then you need to decide on how long the discussions are going to take place. What kind of discussions are you going to do? Is it a week long? Is it shorter? As well as what type? What is the dynamic of it? But importantly, just the dates. When does it start? When does the initial post have to be done? How many replies and by what time? When does it end? What happens if you don't get in? The rules, the protocols, and the rubric. Then you need to create the forums in Blackboard and put some information in there. You'll next begin to manage that, and that's a larger discussion we can talk about, some thoughts and experiences there, and then finally grading options and monitoring them. So let me just point, so that's what we could cover tomorrow, those topics in more depth. Here in this discussion, I just want to show you, and this is a practice course, so it has a lot of stuff in here, but here is one example of a personal introduction. I used the discussion board back in 2011. I put all the question here. Of course, it's already posted somewhere in the learning module sequence, but I repeated it here and made a link to form netiquette, for example. Since I'm not grading it, I didn't need the rubric, but just a reminder to be polite and what the rules of conversation are. So that type of a forum is set up so that as soon as I click on personal introductions, all the information was out on the front level. The second level is just go ahead and start your post. And they do that by hitting the create a thread button, create thread. So each of their posts is a thread, which means you could have, they could create additional threads. Not that they will, they're pretty much going to follow instructions and just say Jane's intro, John's intro. But somebody could create a thread and say, go off on another tangent, theoretically, because the options are there. You'll see why that is an issue in the next part. Sorry, it keeps going all the way to the top there. So in another discussion, and notice this discussion is not as bold as that one. Well, this one has posts to be read. So Blackboard is highlighting that this one's has unread messages, this one doesn't. You can see on the front here my discussions. I number and I give a topic name, and then I post the discussion guidelines on the front. Just reminders about the guidelines for it, not the question. You'll see the question is embedded inside a thread in this forum. You can post links, you can highlight, whatever it takes to make it crystal clear to the students this is what we're going to talk about, this is the time limits, anything you think you need to reinforce at that level. You may be meeting them face to face and you'll go over it verbally a number of times and feel like you don't need to put a whole lot in there. But I was able to, of course, copy and paste that over. And then as different types of forums, putting different kinds of information in there. So going into any one of these. So now that's the forum. I create my question actually in the thread itself. I create a thread and then I write the question. I just call it discussion question 2, and with a reminder to change the subject title. The subject title when you reply, because they're going to reply to my post it will carry discussion. It will carry this exact verbiage if they don't change it. So I want them to change it to something pertinent and relevant to what they are saying in their response to me and to the question and to others. So let me click on it now, and then the question is in here. Read the question and hit reply, and that's how they would respond to the question prompt. And then guidelines posted elsewhere would say this is how many more. Slow. This was just a mistake here that probably got carried over. Somebody posted to the wrong spot. So we can talk about those different ways of organizing a discussion, whether it's at the forum level or at the thread level, and the pros and cons of each, what you can do at the top. We can also look at the settings, and I'll leave it at that. Well, I won't go over them, but as we look at the settings that were set, here's where you put all that content to describe that forum. Forum availability, here's a bunch of the setting options, whether it's going to be graded or not. We could take a look at the rubric tool if you plan on using it, and what some of these options mean. For the most part, you accept a lot of the defaults, and you'll see that I accept some other ones here, and we can talk about the pros and cons of those. Okay, that's it for today. See you all tomorrow.
So thank you for coming. You can if you'll introduce yourself, people will know who you are and what your background is.
Okay. My name is Larissa. I'm originally from Siberia in Russia, but right now I work as an instructional designer here at Mason for a year already. I came here last year in July and really enjoy working with faculty here at Mason. And one of my interests in instructional design is online discussions, engagement, and interaction in asynchronous online environments. And I graduated from instructional design program from Purdue a year and a half ago, not a long time ago. And I'm here to share my experience from my teaching experience and design experience. So maybe a little bit research experience, managing online discussions and how to be successful in online discussions, what to avoid from the beginning and what to expect.
All right, great. So I have a question for you to get started, and that is, so what are the top 3 or 4 tips that you would give to a new faculty, new to using discussions in an online course, whether it was hybrid or fully online, about managing discussions? And then after that, you could talk as you want about pedagogical issues related to discussions.
Thank you for the question, Rick. I will try to stay focused and be very brief. For online discussion, especially for those who are new, or for those who want to move strategies from face-to-face to online, so I would give the first tip is don't do online discussion during the first week when you teach online. So first week should be the week where your students learn the new environment, the core, the syllabus, and give them time to find everything they need for the semester. Don't do online discussion during the first week. So I usually don't do it. And then start during week 2 as a general discussion. I personally don't grade this week 2 discussion. Again, why? Just to give students an opportunity to explore the tool. Discussion board. Sometimes they get lost, sometimes they don't know how to post. So all these mistakes and problems could be solved during week 2, and this is your time as an instructor where you should dominate, and it's fine if you dominate, provide more feedback, help students to find the way to post and the quality you expect from them. So my advice, if you start from week 2, no grades. But it's up to you, of course, if you want to grade it. But grade it very easily. And next tip, break your online discussion into 3 parts. For example, from week 2 up to week 5 would be your low level discussion. Do not expect too much from your students because they're just entering the field, just exploring the content. And again, align your questions to the low level of critical thinking, or how we call it cognitive thinking. So I may share two different frameworks I use for scaffolding online discussion, and what type of question you may ask them. More questions about exploration. And then starting week 6 until, let's say, week 10, you may move to medium level of critical thinking. If we talk about Bloom's taxonomy of critical thinking, this would be like more application skills where they can apply their knowledge. And again, align your questions to more applicable questions, how they can apply knowledge they gained during the first 5 weeks to some situations. But of course, it depends on the field you're teaching. For example, in engineering, they usually start, or in nursing, they usually start from the beginning on more like problem solving. But it's, of course, design like should be for low level, not complicated problems should be solved at the beginning. And then finally, from week 11 until the end, like let's say week 15, you can move and expect students high level of critical thinking. This is analysis and synthesis of what they learn, where they can combine their experiences and readings and all this stuff into very nicely done posts. Here where you can see if students actually learn from your course, and if you achieve your learning objectives for this course. And I usually, what I do, and discovered it recently from my own teaching, I opened the last week as week 15 as open discussion. It's like more evaluation based, but it's just sharing what they learn, what they like, and what readings they like. So if you give your students this chance, they would be more than happy to express themselves by the end. And especially if the final week is their final paper or final project, online discussion should be very easy, like the beginning of the course, like week 2. This is my second. And the third, final one, do not dominate in online discussion as an instructor. Don't be like a knowledge deliverer for them. Be like more facilitator, and I think you'll find all these tip as a facilitator in current research and even different like practice-oriented publications. Try to change your role as an instructor and give students a chance to think and express themselves. And do not tell them you're not right or how about this. Just help them or give them time to think and explore different sides of the problem, like play the same role as a student. And do not reply to all students. It's not good practice. And if it's possible, provide group feedback by the end of the discussion when it's done. And mention students' name who contributed nicely to your online discussion. Like your role as an instructor. And it's always nice to have a summary. So you might provide this summary, or you may assign students to submit a summary. So online discussion should be summarized every week. Like students, what I know from my own experience, if students work on their final paper, sometimes they go to their online discussions and look for the information or for the content they discussed. And usually the first place where they go to summary. That's it from me. Combination of management and a little bit about pedagogy.
Well, thank you, Larissa. That's great.
Right, yeah. 3 tips. Don't do it during the first week. It's a big mistake because you never get students engaged a lot into online discussion. And especially during the first 2 weeks, they have time to drop the course, right? And you just spend your teaching time on teaching them for students who will drop. And after week 2, you'll get all students who will stay in the course, with whom you actually need to work with. And just make your teaching time more meaningful. Don't waste your time on doing for nothing. Just week 1 is easy to go. Week 2, usually without grades or just easy grades. And helping students, modeling, showing them, and helping them to learn the tool. And especially the rubric you use for grading. This is the week where you have your teaching time.
Again, thank you, Larissa. Those are great tips. So I see. So 3 tips. I heard you say about starting discussions in week 2. That's a good point. You know, if you start them too soon, students are coming and going, and you lose. Yes. You lose a continuity there.
Exactly. Exactly.
Breaking discussions into 3 phases is a good idea. Right. For the reasons you spell out. And then, so then the third one is and I think you're talking about undergraduate and yes. Graduate classes, or would you say something different related to graduate courses?
About graduate courses? For yeah. Graduate courses, you may try different designs, more with students' responsibilities. Here you can assign students to lead discussion, facilitate discussion, helping you. So it doesn't mean that you won't be there. Of course, you will be there. But the student who is a facilitator or the leader of online discussion will take these responsibilities on his or her shoulders and also learn from this process. And if you assign a summarizer or the same person to summarize, I think it usually works fine with grad students. And they like playing a facilitator or leader role to take control and see if they impact on the quality of online discussions. When I did interview with students who facilitated online discussion, they took this very personally. Even when they read their classmates' post, they felt or they were very sensitive to what their classmates saying. So instead of like you as an instructor like facilitate the whole discussion, if students facilitate, so it changed a little bit. I mean, their perception maybe or their attitude, having this at equal level. And building this trust among group members and among students and you as an instructor. You are not like far from them. You are real for them. They like don't don't see you as an instructor in traditional understanding.
And so I want to thank you for taking the time to do this today. It's a nice, quick overview of some tips for discussions, and I'll leave it at that.